I'm Brittany Lewis with Forbes Breaking News. At today's House Appropriations Committee hearing, Florida Congressman Charlie Crist asked Attorney General Merrick Garland about former President Trump. His questioning probed whether the Department of Justice has looked into the former president's alleged role in the January 6th Capitol insurrection. The Attorney General's response surprised the Democratic congressman, who said the nation was, quote, probably pretty curious about his question. Listen to the exchange now.
You're recognized for 5 minutes, Mr. Crist.
Sorry about that. I thought I was coming later in the agenda, but I appreciate the opportunity to be with you, my colleague from Pennsylvania. Mr. Attorney General, it's great to be with you. Can you hear me okay? I can't hear him.
Can't hear me?
No, I can now. Okay, great. Well, again, thank you so much for being with us today. Really appreciate it. I really wanted to ask you about the former president and whether or not the Department of Justice has had an opportunity yet to look into his role in the insurrection and, what his role was, if there's any criminal implication to it, if you've started to look into it, and if you could share that with the committee, I think the committee and the country would be grateful.
So the Justice Department has a long standing and I think very appropriate policy of not commenting on the existence or progress of investigations other than through what we say in court, at least in general, other than what we say in court and through the various filings and procedures that we make. And I'm afraid that has to continue to be my answer whenever I'm asked that question.
And why is that the policy?
Well, it's protects this.
Respectfully.
That is a very appropriate question, and it derives from two different things. On the one hand, it respects the civil liberties and civil rights of Americans who may be under investigation to prevent publicity about investigations before filings are made, and prevents trial by publicity. And second, it protects our investigations. Our investigations often depend on us being able to develop evidence and facts as we go along without potential witnesses learning where we are, what we are doing. This, I do not mean this in reference to any particular investigation. This is our standard. This has been our standard as long as I have been involved in the criminal justice field, and I have been involved in that field for an extraordinarily long time, having been a prosecutor, having joined the Justice Department in 1979, and having been a prosecutor throughout the 80s.
Yes, sir. And thank you for your service. I'll add at that juncture as well. Having been Attorney General of Florida myself, we would conduct, investigations and would sometimes be able to share it with the public and sometimes not be able to. So I certainly respect your answer, sir, of course. But I just think that, the country obviously is probably pretty curious about the question I posed to you. And again, I want to emphasize, I mean, no disrespect to you, sir, at all, or anybody. But I just think that, what happened that day and what the public at large does know through journalists and other media outlets about a lot of phone calls, a lot of text messages with the former Chief of Staff Meadows, I believe it was, have really, raised the level of concern about a sitting president potentially having participated, and it certainly looks like that's what happened, given the speech that he gave before they rushed up Capitol Hill on January the 6th, and to what degree and what level of concern should Americans have about a sitting president potentially being involved in something that came so close to taking down our democracy. I mean, to sort of mount a coup, if you will, from the White House is pretty strange stuff. I think we all can agree to that. But if you can't comment on it because of the policy you stated, I certainly understand it. And I have all the respect in the world for you, sir. I think you're doing a great job as our Attorney General. I would only encourage you to pursue what you believe is justice in the regard to the topic I'm addressing. I'm sure you will. You may already have. But I want to thank you again for being before the committee. And we want to provide to you, as I'm sure the chairman does, my great colleague from Pennsylvania, the resources you need to do whatever you need to search for the truth, to find the truth, and to bring justice to bear on those who deserve it. And thank you again for being, and I yield back, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you, Mr. Crist. At this time, the chair recognizes Congresswoman Brenda Lawrence of Michigan.